The Socceroos lost 2-0 to Argentina in a Beijing friendly last night. It's been labelled as an example of sports diplomacy, but the dubious pro-China sponsors of the match suggest it's more likely a case of sports washing, where a country uses sporting events to seem virtuous while continuing to do awful things. One major sponsor of the Socceroos match was China Rainbow International Investment, a corporation with strong links to the infamous United Front Work Department of the Chinese Communist Party. Political commentator Rocco Luciano is across the story for us. Rocco, DFAT's Deputy Secretary Ellie Lawson said it was not her department's responsibility to scrutinise football match partners. But really, is that good enough from DFAT, given the links of the major sponsor to the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda machine?
Well, you wouldn't have thought so, Rita. I mean, Senator Claire Chandler put these questions to DFAT officials in Senate estimates. And yes, their response was, well, look, if we don't look at these things, we don't monitor these things, and if there's a problem, it's a matter for other organisations. But if Senator Chandler was able to find out about United Front links and Chinese Communist Party links to the major sponsor of this football match, you would have thought that DFAT would have been able to find out as well. The other thing that would suggest that this is nothing more than a propaganda exercise is that 2 weeks ago, Argentina, the Socceroos' opponents in this match, signed, I should say, a Belt and Road Initiative agreement with the Chinese Communist Party, and now making Argentina the biggest Belt and Road Initiative partner of the Chinese Communist Party in South America. And look, seemingly DFAT's just walked right into it.
Absolutely. And we've got a AFL game coming up, a pro-China AFL match celebrating Chinese culture. Why are our sporting bodies suddenly being fascinated with all things Beijing?
What's the old saying, Rita? Follow the money.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're looking for new and innovative revenue streams, and it seems they're not really too concerned where it comes from. Notwithstanding, as we know, China's dubious, to say the least, human rights record, which again, when you think about some of the boycotts that sporting organisations have argued for in the past and some of the social causes that they support, the word hypocrisy comes to mind.
Absolutely. Now, tech billionaire, world's richest man, Elon Musk, met with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni as part of his Europe tour. Is their meeting about just chewing the fat, or an attempt to convince Tesla to manufacture some of his cars in Italy? What do you think is being discussed between these two?
Oh, you'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting, Rita, wouldn't you? But obviously, in all seriousness, look, Giorgia Meloni is wanting to continue Italy's trajectory and recovery as one of the G7 countries. And manufacturing is a big part of the Italian economy. It's one that has suffered hugely over the last few years with international competition, particularly from cheap imports from Asia. And getting cars manufactured in Italy, I mean, let's face it, Italians have expertise in manufacturing cars. I mean, we manufacture the best cars in the world. So it makes sense to me. And again, a win for Italians and a win for the Italian economy.
Now, they also talked about AI and they talked about birth rates. It's interesting because Elon Musk sees depopulation as an enormous threat to the world, and I think Meloni shares that as well. She is very centred on the family. How do you think she is travelling? Because when she was elected, we heard such hysteria from the media in the West in particular, calling her an extremist, a fascist, a ultra-right wing, but that's not how she is seen in Italy, and she's enormously popular.
That's absolutely right. Giorgia Meloni, since her government has been elected, has tried to really make some efforts to solve Italy's population crisis. Italy in the EU has is the country with the most ageing population of all the EU countries, and that obviously is a big problem. And Meloni's government has tried to address that through tax incentives to families, through companies, tax cuts to businesses to employ women. The Minister for the Families is also called the Minister of Fertility as well, so trying to increase birth rates. And aside from all of that, the Italian economy was recently awarded a big tick by ratings agencies, with Italy's credit rating not devalued, and indeed credit rating agencies are looking at moving Italy's credit rating upwards. And as Italy's credit rating moves upwards, so does Giorgia Meloni's approval in the polls. It is far higher than it was even when she was elected. So if an election were held today, she would go over the 40% mark quite easily, which would allow her to form government with her and her coalition partners. So Italians are giving Giorgia Meloni big ticks of approval, as are the international financial markets.
And she has done so much in such a short period of time, as you've explained. And you would think a woman like her, with her background, very humble beginning, would be absolutely celebrated by the media, by feminists. Just her story is remarkable, but all you see is the opposite of what they gave Jacinda Ardern. Instead of the adulation, it's just hate and just unhinged vitriol. But Rocco, I always love you giving us the facts. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.